can. And as we said right at the top when we talked about the teams, he's got so many talented players at his disposal. The fact that Aguero's been involved in the previous games would suggest that, and granted he came on a sub last one, but you know, he can rest Sterling and he needs him. When you look at what they've got coming up, Everton tonight, Leicester, Borussia Dortmund, Leeds. I mean, they've got Borussia Dortmund again, so they've got some big games coming up. And forget the quadruple for the moment. The fact that they've got good opposition coming up, they need the players like Sterling to be at their top in order to get through those matches.
Ivan, I have to bring this up because if there's one issue for Everton, it's been their home form this season. 5 defeats in 7 at Goodison Park. I know they've been successful at Goodison in the Cup, but I mean, they're losing against the likes of Newcastle, Leeds, Fulham, Burnley and West Ham. It has to be an issue and an advantage for City.
No, it seems like they're losing games that they should win, you know, and you don't understand because they're having a good run and they've got an opportunity to break into that top 4, and on that last step they just fell, and most of the time against opposition where, as I said, with this they should technically be winning those games. So it's a little bit difficult to understand why. It could not be the fans, that's for sure, which we know at Everton are quite vocal, and some players possibly don't react well to this, but there's no fan this season, so it's difficult to put your finger on it and try and understand really.
Yeah, because they've won once in the league since mid-December at home, and I'm not sure if this is a coincidence or not, but fans were allowed at that time before there was lockdown once again in the UK. Anyhow, let's set some predictions in. So I think since it's your side at home, Sylvain, I want your prediction first, please.
I'm going to be optimistic and say 2-1 for Everton.
Your heart is on your sleeve already right from the start, JMO. You expected, I think you said, a 5-0 victory to City. So, in all honesty, what is the score going to be for you? Because I know you're going to say City to win.
Right, I think City could win this 3-1. I'm not going to say 5-0 because I think I want the young Virginians to have a good game. So, 3-1 City.
Perfect. Let's pass you over to your match commentator. Stuart Robson is alongside Martin Tyler.
Beautiful Sigurdsson poised to get the game underway. And the officials are ready. Carlo Ancelotti has seen pretty much everything as a player, and he takes part in the taking of the knee, which remains a focal point for the footballers in this country, sending the message out that there's no room for racism. And we're underway in an eagerly anticipated clash. Mason Holgate trying to turn Manchester City in this first few seconds. Calvert-Lewin chasing and then penalised. Certainly those two up front, we can see them there for Everton. Ought to be able to keep Manchester City occupied and maybe do enough to cause what would be an upset, even though Everton are at home. Actually, their home form in the league has been pretty awful. They've put themselves up to 7th place by winning regularly on the road. Here's Fernandinho.
Well, Everton certainly are playing with a back 3, a back 5 at the moment, with Seamus Coleman dropping deep. There he is on the ball now.
He's getting deeper and deeper. Mina there to help him out, collected by Fernandinho. Gundogan trying to squeeze it on, chance for handball, not given. And Pep Guardiola just finds the formula. It is one of the great guessing games for we the broadcasters, just how his team are going to line up, and maybe even for the players themselves. They've had a little bit of a respite. They played in the Champions League on Tuesday in Budapest. Kevin De Bruyne scored a wonderful goal. He's only amongst the substitutes for City. How about that for drawing in the opposition, playing from the back? That looked the riskiest manoeuvre I've seen from a goalkeeper for some time, and there's been quite a lot going on this season. He left it very late. Taken on by Bernardo Silva, collected by Foden. And Fernandinho, ostensibly the holding midfield player, drives the team forward. Gundogan's there, who's made a move really into a goal-scoring midfield player. Michael Oliver's the referee. We've got Andre Mariner on VAR.
Well, one holding midfield player on the other. Alan very much the holding midfield player for Everton. He's got Gomez and Sigurdsson either side of him, just more advanced. Just interesting to see whether the two wing-backs can get forward for Everton. That will be key.
Talk about working the goalkeeper. It didn't quite pan out for Phil Foden, but Kyle Walker was asked in a pre-match interview about Manchester City's policy in this respect. Yerry Mina protecting the young man behind him. Robin Olsen is ostensibly the number 2 goalkeeper here, but he's injured. He got injured in the game last Saturday against Burnley. So João Virginia had a bit of Premier League experience. Short corner from City. Very important, you feel, for Everton to bet into this game and give the goalkeeper confidence in doing that. Those in front are not picked off by the passing ability, the pass masters Manchester City. Fernandinho. Kyle Walker has got himself a goal against Swansea in the last round. It was a somewhat fortuitous one. Gabriel Jesus. Gundogan. Walker's well forward again. Sort of inside fullback position. Bernardo Silva. Foden. Again, good blocking by Everton. And good play by Calvert-Lewin to get himself just in front of Laporte and draw the free kick and give Everton a bit of breathing space.
You're just talking about his tactics. We're going to see Bernardo Silva play as the midfield player and Foden out on the right-hand side, but they will swap positions as they just did a couple of minutes ago. That's one of the key things about Manchester City. They can rotate their positions. Makes it very difficult for the opposition to pick them up.
Great natural leap, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Comparisons are being made between him and a member of Ancelotti's coaching staff, Duncan Ferguson. A dominant figure in the air wherever he played, and he had a good spell here.
So if you're a bit older, you talk about Joe Royle in an Everton shirt. That would be the player that you might liken him to.
Yeah, but you know I'm not a bit older. A long throw to try and use Mina's aerial power and hooked away by Zinchenko. I thought you were going to mention Dixie Dean, who did score in that final between these two clubs back in 1933 at the old Wembley. Mina trying to set up a chance for the present day Everton. And brought out at pace by Walker. And there's Bernardo Silva. Foden sinking infield of Luca Digne. And finding a pass to Zinchenko. Support here. Raheem Sterling has been left out of the starting lineup for the last 3 games after the defeat in that Manchester derby at the Etihad Stadium. And Sterling's done well here, but so too is Andre Gomez, recognising the danger. It's Zinchenko trying to pick out Raheem Sterling, but Andre Gomez saw him coming.
That's a bit of a worry. Just watch how he runs past Seamus Coleman. Mina wasn't out in a good position to cover that. Eventually Gomez gets the clearance in.
Ruben Diaz. Foden, nicely tucked pass into the run of Bernardo Silva. Here comes Walker on the inside again. Gundogan. Slick and quick from Manchester City. And these days we have a law where if it hits the referee it has to be stopped in case the ref gets an unwanted assist. And Michael Oliver, recognising that Everton were in possession, gives the ball back to them, and on we go. It hasn't caused any chaotic scenes. any anger being administered. Sort out what has been perhaps down the years in a potentially embarrassing situation for the officials who like to be close to the action, but sometimes you can be too close. No John Stones for Manchester City, who's been recalled to the England setup along with Kyle Walker. I'm sure Foden's in that squad as well. But Michael Keane, who's not playing for Carlo Ancelotti, he's on the bench, has been left out. It's caused a bit of a surprise because Keane has been in very good form for Ancelotti's team. We were going to make a comparison if Stones and Keane were playing, because I think Stones has got his place. But
well, I agree with you. Keane has been excellent in recent weeks. Some of his passing out from the back, some of his defending has been really good.
That wasn't too good in terms of defending from Ruben Dias.
Yeah, that's what Richarlison can do. He can get his body across defenders, he can roll defenders, he's strong, and now they've got a chance to get this ball into a dangerous position. Mina will be the big target.
If they are going to beat Manchester City, you think this may well be the best route. They've got excellent delivery, Luca Digne or Gylfi Sigurdsson. They've got good aerial power. The left-footed Digne, Stefan got a bit of a bang in the process, bounced up quickly enough, got the ball out. You can just challenge.
You can just see what Mina was saying. Don't put it right on top of the goalkeeper. I'll beat people in the air. He wanted the ball played around about the penalty spot area because he is so good in the air, Mina.
Manchester City have won the last 6 meetings between these two clubs, all in the Premier League. In Guardiola's first season in charge of City, came here, beaten 4-0 in the league, and there was a period where Merseyside, both at Anfield and here at Goodison Park, was almost a no-go area for Manchester City, certainly a no-win area. Well, they've won at both venues in the Premier League this season. Down goes Bernardo Silva.
He's playing on the left-hand side of that central midfield three, Andre Gomez. He's going to have to do a lot of work. He's going to have to get out to Phil Foden at times. He's going to have to close down Walker. He's also going to have to watch the runs of Bernardo Silva. It's a difficult role he's got in the team.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva didn't appreciate that challenge, that foul. Of course, they are from the same country. They play international football together. All forgotten in the clear seat of a FA Cup quarter-final battle. Walker covering. Last Saturday they lined up Manchester City with both Aguero and Gabriel Jesus playing, and in the Champions League they didn't have either of those on duty from the start anyway. Various midfield players asked to fill in through the middle. Kevin De Bruyne is very adept at that. Bernardo Silva's done it as well. Riyad Mahrez too. Endless possibilities really within a squad of 20-odd players, all of whom operate at the top level, and that outcome, when you look at the stats, those incredible statistics of 24 wins out of 25. Long unbeaten run as well, no away defeat since they lost at Spurs back in November. Testimony to the individual ability of the players, the collective ability of the players, and the way the coach sets them up. It's special.
Just looking at the way they're set up at the moment, it does look as though Laporte can come out at will on that left-hand side. And on this side, Walker's going to have a lot of possession.
Manchester United actually won that Manchester derby at City with an early high press in each half, really. They got both goals in that way. And a very early penalty from winning the ball well forward in the first half. And then the left-back Luke Shaw scored in the second half. United, but Everton haven't really taken the lead from that particular book and more a case of sitting in and absorbing pressure, but that can be dangerous. Gabriel Jesus almost skipping through, but look how congested it is. Ancelotti, I might say with Italian influences, gets plenty of men behind the ball, but the counter-attacking can still happen. Richarlison really trying to get it in. Although there weren't too many in the middle, you only need Calvert-Lewin if the cross is right. He's so good in the air. Come out by Fernandinho. Good tackle by Ben Godfrey in his first season with Everton from Norwich City, where he got Premier League experience last season, even in a side that went down. His quality shone through, but it does look as though Norwich will be bouncing back up again for the next campaign. Zinchenko.
Well, the Everton player that won't really be enjoying this will be Sigurdsson. He's very much a ball player. He loves to get on it and make things happen. He's a good passer of the ball. He usually plays in behind a centre forward. He's having to play on the right hand side of a midfield three, and every time it goes out to Laporte, he's got to go out there. He's also got to watch the runs of Gundogan. It's going to be really difficult for him.
I'm surprised it's as low as 84%. Here comes Sterling. Not too much in the way of a chance as yet. Foden. And Holgate was nearly lured into something rash then, but he stayed on his feet, and Foden has got a deserved reputation for honesty. Scooped up by Virginia. There was an incident recently in a game against Southampton when he was brought down by the goalkeeper, but he kept on going. He wanted to score himself and didn't get the penalty.
Well, this is another key element of Manchester City's play. Although they love to play intricate football, they're not frightened to play the ball into the box. Bend balls in behind defenders. There's the challenge that you were talking about. He nearly catches Foden.
But not one thought in Foden's mind about drawing a foul which would have meant a penalty. Here's Fernandinho. That's definitely playing from the back, and Everton really allowing that to happen. Chase the ball down well up the field. Not anyway, not yet. It might change. There's plenty of time for the likes of Ruben Dias to stride forward here. You said Stuart Walker doing the same. Zinchenko on the other side. Laporte as well. Foden taking on Luca Digne. Should be a corner, and it is.
Good pace from Foden, but also good defending from Digne in the end. His approach play wasn't right. He went on the wrong angle, but he got himself back and made a good challenge.
It's Ilkay Gundogan in the absence of De Bruyne. To deliver here. It's past the 15-minute mark. You would be surprised if Everton conceded in that manner. Bernardo Silva. Gundogan. Oh, it's risky for Kyle Walker. Richarlison hungry to take it from him, but he couldn't quite get there.
Once it's set back to the goalkeeper, they don't decide to press Everton. The shape of the team, back five, three in midfield, two up front who are quite close together, means that here again Laporte can just stroll out. This time Gomez has gone to him, but they can't really put pressure on the ball. They're just trying to slow it down, really.
Walker. Silva having to come that deep. And we do feel with perhaps the majority of teams it would stretch their patience to have to keep doing this, but with Manchester City certainly not. And Sterling can hit this one. Straight, comfortable height, straight at João Virginia.
Great little 1-2. Gundogan and Sterling just in that little bit of pace on the move. Not a great strike he didn't. Not quite sure what technique he was trying to use. He wasn't hitting through the back of the board. He wasn't really trying to bend it into the far corner. It's a combination of the two, really.
Forward by Alan. Calvert-Lewin chasing. Stephen comes out. Hops up. Could be a tale of two goalkeepers here, especially if it goes all the way to penalties, which Everton, I think if you offered them that now, they would take it. They've got a long throw, and they've got Mason Holgate trying to propel it. They've got Yerry Mina trying to get on the end of it to flick it on, and then it's a bluff, and Alan puts it in. Godfrey's up there. Stefan started to come. Godfrey goes again. Richarlison. Oh, it was an inventive effort. He knew exactly what he was trying to do, but just elevated it too much.
Well, Godfrey was probably just about offside when this ball was played, but he does well to head it back into a dangerous area. And again, and this is a good effort. He just lets the ball drop. He's trying to get it back over the top of the goalkeeper and back down again. Just doesn't quite get it right, but that's a good effort from Richarlison.
Foden. Fernandinho, still very much the club captain, but not a particularly regular starter for Pep Guardiola. Bernardo Silva on the first time from Foden. This is Gabriel Jesus. Marcus ball back towards him. Retrieved by Zinchenko.
Sterling was a little unhappy there. He came short and span in behind Holgate, who just knocked him to the ground.
Holgate's got the problem if Sterling sort of gets in that corridor where it draws him out of the centre a little bit. You see them at the top of your screen still jockeying for position, if you like, as the game goes on with Kyle Walker. Fernandinho. And Richarlison's gone down. And Michael Oliver has to think about intent here. And of course VAR have the chance to look at it.
He's just holding him off. He does lift his arm, but I think he's just trying to protect the ball. Just there. It would certainly hurt Richarlison. But I certainly don't think there's a case for a sending off. It's a complete accident.
Brazilian on Brazilian, and Richarlison just indicating to his fellow countrymen, you've just elbowed me in the mouth. And sometimes the point of the if it's a real elbow, you see it swung, and I don't think it was that, but it was not a straight arm, so the contact was painful, as you say. But
really, if you're trying to shield the ball, your arm should just be that little bit lower to go towards the chest of the player. That's a little bit high from Fernandinho, and players have to be careful now when they're trying to shield the ball. They can't have a flailing arm. They can't catch a player in the face.
Checking the teeth.
Yeah, they're all there. Well, hopefully.
And because the game was stopped with Manchester City in possession, and Michael Oliver saw nothing wrong, not even the foul, City handed the ball back by the restart. Richarlison ready for the restart, though. He can be a little bit hot-headed at times. Looking to get revenge, one hopes, in the right way. The way he can with his scoring capabilities. And they do have the ability to trouble the best in that respect. As far as the Premier League's concerned, though, it's been mostly done on the road, on their travels. And Chance coming out here for Alan. And Richarlison pleading for his teammate, and Gundogan needing attention.
Well, he can be a feisty player, he can also be a very good player, Alan. Yeah, he's late, he goes down the back of Gundogan's calf, just there. It was a good first touch, wasn't it, from Gundogan? It took him away from Alan. He thought he was going to go and close him down and try and win the ball back.
Alan, who has been back long enough from a lengthy absence from the team because of a hamstring injury in December. Can't use that as an excuse for poor timing.
No, I thought he was a big part of Everton's early season form when he was playing as the holding midfield player. Kouré was alongside him. James Rodriguez was playing on that right-hand side. It was a good combination.
Yeah, Doucouré's out for a while. James Rodriguez also on the casualty list for Everton. So they're not going at the top team with their top talent available. Walker. And that is given away by Kyle Walker. Here is Sigurdsson with a chance to express himself. Alan. Here's Andre Gomez. It's a good first-time cross. Richarlison going in. City haven't dealt with the danger yet. Andre Gomez. That's from Godfrey. Manchester City working hard off the ball to force Everton, who were prowling around the penalty area at the other end, to go back to their own goalkeeper.
But that was all started because it was about the first time that Everton pressed the ball high up the field down this near side. It's a sloppy pass played infield. They got possession with Sigurdsson. And Gomez played a really good ball into the box. But that might just give them a little bit more encouragement to go and press high up the field.
The front two clearly are not under orders to do that. Drop off. No damage done to the home team so far. There's pressure, the talk of the quadruple for Manchester City. Yes, they did do the domestic treble a couple of years ago. They call themselves the Formidables, so they won the Community Shield and got a quadruple, but it's not one that's really recognised. What they're trying to achieve this season is, or would be.
Diaz just coming out here. Calvert-Lewin just skipping past him there. Not sure there was that much contact. I think he was throwing himself to the ground before the contact was made. Certainly had a good start to his Man City career, hasn't he, Diaz?
Very good. First season. Formed a very good understanding with Stones. I think many would say that Stones' renaissance has, to some extent, been caused by the fact that he has good understanding with the new boy. The report is the one who's been left out of the bigger games. He's in for this one, which is large enough. They've got two very good set-piece free kick takers from this kind of range. Maybe it's just a little bit too far for Digne or Sigurdsson, we'll see. Clip by Digne towards the far post where Fernandinho has to get a vital touch, and you can see the strength of Everton in the air. It was a worrying moment for Manchester City until the captain diverted it, and they've got a corner now to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, that was really good defending from Fernandinho. He was up against a much bigger player at the far post. Here's the main target.
There are plenty of others who are more than decent aerially. Curved in by Digne. It's Fernandinho again, taking the responsibility and making the header. Andre Gomez. It's just too long. Godfrey found himself down that inside right channel. He's able to chase back for his position in the back three. He's been drawn across to try and deal with Raheem Sterling. Sigurdsson can't prevent the cross. Headed out by Mina, collected by Fernandinho, who is fouled by over-eager Richarlison. And he's suddenly become a central figure to this particular story.
Does well just to step across the challenge. He knew the challenge was coming in. He knew he didn't really have great control of the ball. The next best thing, a free kick just outside the box.
Fernandinho, 35 now, approaching 350 games for Manchester City, but not involved in this. This is an opportunity. Surely again the inexperience of the goalkeeper must be in Manchester City's thinking. Virginia's got 4 in the wall.
And the biggest players in the wall as well, Mina.
Yeah, and if they're going to jump, there is the draft excluder. And there's Alan, who, should I be or should I not? Which way should I face? Turned his back on it. Sterling doesn't trouble the wall, the base of the wall, or the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's trying to use the inside of his foot to get some bend on it and get it to come back down in time. Yeah, I think his face says it all there, doesn't it?
I'm not sure that Raheem Sterling would have been the first choice from Pep Guardiola to take that, but they were setting out to give João Virgínia a bit of a grilling in the first half an hour of the game. They haven't done it. Even that softest shot from Sterling, the only one, needed saving. Good speed again from Godfrey. Maybe inherited from his dad, who was a professional rugby league player. From behind by Laporte. Always in the thick of it, Richarlison. He's not shy of putting his body on the line to be fouled. And he put his own tackles in, as you saw, on the edge of his own penalty area just now. Fernandinho. Good foot in by Alan. Now Sigurdsson. There haven't been too many passages of play like this with Everton in City territory. Well, it's a bit fortunate from Calvert-Lewin, I think. Andre Gomez was there, Alan's there. And trying another flick. Maybe the other one was meant. Sometimes the front man has just got to make it stick and be more assured with the touch rather than just going for the Hollywood ball, if you like.
Exactly what I was going to say. When that ball was played into him at pace, he just needs to get hold of it, get himself turned, play the next pass.
Yeah, there wasn't too much pressure on him either, in either instant, was there? But here goes Laporte, easy to say from where we're sitting. And they've got a cut time to try and win against the odds. But here's Gundogan for the favourites in this quarter-final, and for the trophy itself. Walker. Good tracking by Dean. It bounced back off Kyle Walker and is a goal kick. Standing on the deck again.
He's saying he got a whack in the face here. Good play from Gundogan again. Tries to drive past Mina, gets his cross in. Foden round the back. And he does well. It was Sigurdsson and Sterling that came together. I don't think there was too much in it.
Cursory check from VAR. All the technology wired for sound from the VAR hub. Led by Zinchenko. So they're engaging a bit more, Everton, now. After a cautious, maybe understandably cautious start. Richarlison, nothing cautious about that, but nothing threatening about it either.
The shot probably just took it a little bit too early. It wasn't a good effort in the end.
Well, I said wide for sound. Maybe there's a problem. It is the communication that's battery powered, not the man himself.
Fernandinho might have been tempted just to pull the plug on that one.
They've been remanaged before all these technology advances, technological advances. Here's Diaz. Laporte. Now Walker. Probably like to play in a back three for England when he joins up with Gareth Southgate's squad. The right side from the back, as he did in the World Cup of 2018 in the finals, and then of course got to the semi-final. Richarlison. Easy for Gundogan to get in the way of that.
Well, to a certain degree today he's playing almost in a back three. Walker, because Zinchenko, as soon as they get possession, almost goes to an outside left position.
Here goes Calvert-Lewin. He's quick. Oh, and it nearly ran beyond Stefan into the stride of Calvert-Lewin. He looked skywards, knowing how close this was to Everton taking the lead against the run of play.
Well, that's what Sigurdsson can provide. He was never going to be first to it, Calvert-Lewin. The goalkeeper starts to come and makes a real mess of it. Actually slips over as he's trying to kick the ball. That was a poor effort from Stefan.
Former Columbus Crew goalkeeper.
Well, they're right on top of him here. This is going to be the in-swinger.
From Luca Digne. Mina trying to get free at the near post into his territory, well defended by Manchester City, and then followed away by Gundogan. Was a little tentative from the young keeper. It's grateful that Alan's got it back. And Coleman, oh, he's gone into trouble in the shape of Gabriel Jesus. Determination from the Republic of Ireland international. Calvert-Lewin press back. Good pressing by Manchester City. Twice Everton thought they were out, maybe three times. It wasn't the best kick from the goalkeeper in the first place. They know they've all got to be at their best if they're going to get a result here.
Well, certainly Everton won't play out from the back. They've shown that in the first half. Whenever the goalkeeper does get the ball, goal kicks or free kicks, they look to hit Calvert-Lewin and get the two front players working with each other. Get Sigurdsson that little bit higher up the field.
Well, Mina saying that Gabriel Jesus was backing in. He had his hands around the City striker's neck.
Yeah, that was the first foul, and the referee's absolutely right on that occasion, Michael Oliver.
Up goes Laporte. Scored 7 goals for Manchester City, all headers, all away from home. Diaz right round the back. It's quite a deep ball to reach, and he's moving into the middle now. In fact, taking the low road, and in the end it doesn't pan out. Sterling able to do what was perhaps rehearsed in training from that kind of position. He's been shaken up a couple of times. Returns a little ruefully.
Once again today, I wouldn't say he's been at his best. He's had a couple of decent runs.
Here's Bernardo Silva. Right to stages of the first half. And we've been spending most of that half defending, concentrating right to the half-time whistle. Sometimes takes a bit of doing in these later minutes. Genius, where he should be. And Silva anxious to take the throw quickly, but it wasn't on.
You have to say Man City have looked less threatening the more the half's worn on.
Laporte. Now Diaz. Jesus trying to find a focal point all the way across the front line, really, and did a tackle there that the referee is allowed to pass his judgment, and City starting to zip it about again in dangerous areas. It hits Yerry Mina from Foden's cross, and Manchester City have another corner.
Yeah, Foden's just gone over to that left-hand side while Sterling was off the field on this near side. They tried to combine there. The perfect pass to him.
Foden looking up and seeing the likes of Laporte in the middle. Fizzes it across, and Zinchenko was closest to it, but Alan is certainly not the tallest Everton player, got his head to it well. By Bernardo Silva, and Ruben Diaz to pop it down for Gabriel Jesus. Calmly done by Alan. Coleman. Once the ball got past Fernandinho, the man was not going to follow.
Really could win this here. Just stretching. Coleman does well just to lift it over the challenge.
Well, two of the Everton players wanted to see Fernandinho booked then. A few smiles as well as the odd frown. Quarter-final being played in good spirit. Merseyside and Manchester, big rivals. And, all sorts of areas, not just football. But football sort of sums it all up. Cleared by Holgate. Fernandinho with time to find Zinchenko. Everton quite happy to let City play in this part of the pitch. There's their organisation at the back. Stops them doing too much in this part of the pitch. Gabriel Jesus throwing a couple of defenders out. Sterling having a go from the right. As you mentioned, Foden going to the left, and it was shortly done by Gabriel Jesus.
Well, the first run was very good from him. When Walker had the ball, he came short and spun into the space down the side. They have got to threaten the back of Everton at times. They can't always play in front of them.
Quick free kick from Bernardo Silva. Gundogan. Leading out by Calvert-Lewin, but because he's back there, there's no one to collect here. They're allowed to push out. As Sterling played safety first the way he was facing. Now Walker. Bernardo Silva. Hayden back on this side, was trying to take it on the inside then. Nice take by Richarlison. Alan. Trying to dispossess him, but Alan did well, and Andre Gomez can set Everton going here inside the last 5 minutes before half time. It's just too high for Calvert-Lewin. It doesn't look great, but it is an idea that does have real potential in it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Calvert-Lewin was in the box by himself, but it's a good little counter-attack here for Everton. Richarlison finding himself out on this left-hand side. He's got the run of Digne going on the outside. He could have chopped it back to him, but he just plays it into a good area. I'm not sure Calvert-Lewin was really working hard enough for his space in the box there.
Fernandinho. Number of place at Wembley for the semi-final. On the line here, Richarlison. He was thinking about having a shot. Just work it to the right, to fly with the right foot. Calvert-Lewin. Richarlison again thinking about the shot. He's still going, and in the end it was a sort of scuff cross, but it's led to a corner. And there's a little bit more as the half has developed for concern for Manchester City, Stuart, would you say?
Yeah, just a bit. They're not posing too much of a threat at the other end, despite having most of the ball. And Everton just beginning to counter-attack with a little bit more energy. Getting one or two players further up the field. Going back to the earlier flick that Calvert-Lewin had, on that occasion he got hold of the ball, played it to Richarlison, and they've kept it in the danger area. They've got a set play out of it.
Time ticking on towards half-time, but this could be a crucial time for Everton. In by Digne again. Well, it's headed away by Zinchenko. Whether it was going in, I'm not sure, from Yerry Mina's touch on, but he thought it might have been. Zinchenko was in the right place.
He doesn't start on the post, he goes back towards the post. I probably think it was missing. That's a good flick at the near post. Nobody coming round the back. Does well, Zinchenko.
But that is, in a nutshell, how Everton believe they can win this quarter-final. One throw from Digne in the repertoire as well. Sterling gets it out. I thought he was fouled by Holgate. Rather impeded his ability to swing his foot through the ball properly and get some distance to it. Calvert-Lewin making his way past Laporte, taken on by Richarlison. Flag's gone up. He's going offside.
And that was a much better kick from the goalkeeper, Virginia. Lots of height and distance on it, allowed Calvert-Lewin to get underneath it and put Laporte under a bit of pressure. Unfortunately, Richarlison ran offside.
How long was the question? Mike Dean with the answer, 1 minute. Walker and Bernardo Silva. Manchester City running out of time to make an imprint on the scoreline in the first half. Laporte. Added minutes up on the board. Fernandinho.
And I would say Everton have got better as the half has worn on. Not just with their closing down, but in terms of they've just posed a slight threat. They've become more confident that Man City won't break them down. Game plan's working for Everton at the moment.
Still time in this last City attack of the first half to spoil a good half, and Foden's shot is deflected away. Always hungry to strike for goal.
That was better from Manchester City. Good little ball from Walker.
Good defending from Godfrey. Last corner of the half for Manchester City, taken by Gundogan. Gundogan turns away in disappointment. City head for the opposite corner of the ground, back to their temporary accommodation at Goodison Park. Everton head for their home dressing room. I think in good spirits. Yerry Mina came close to make it even better than it is, but they've been resilient in the first half. They certainly sat in the first 20 minutes. Pep Guardiola's side were all over them, but they didn't get enough attempts, he would probably feel, at the rookie goalkeeper, João Virginia, who will be very pleased with the way the game has gone from his perspective. But it's got to be decided here, remember, and at half-time, in regulation time, it's Everton 0, Manchester City 0.
Many thanks there to Martin Tyler and Stuart Robertson, the match commentators at Goodison Park. A very cagey opening 45 minutes. Just the one shot which registered on target through Raheem Sterling. But a big talking point, should City have had a penalty? Let's discuss all that next here on Astro Supersport. After the game, a little reminder of who is on the Manchester City bench should they be searching for the goal. Their all-time record goal scorer, Sergio Aguero, is there. Kevin De Bruyne, Ferran Torres, Riyad Mahrez, Jao Cancelo, who's been heavily involved in the build-up for goals so far this season, is also on the bench. There are a plethora of options. JMO, do you reckon any of those could come on and make an impact in this cup tie?
Well, just like the beginning of the show, Adam, I think, you name any player in a Man City side and they're capable of doing something to win a game. I just don't think, looking at that first half, as frustrating as it was, I don't think there was many problems. Whether Sterling with a kick might be brought off, but you put Mahrez in. I mean, he's the one who's in form at the moment, if you think there needs to be a solution from the bench.
Well, what about De Bruyne's goal, which he scored with his so-called weaker foot as well? He's been a little bit of form, hasn't he?
Yeah, in form, but as Jemo said, you can pick the players one by one. They're all in more than capable to change a game. I've got a soft spot for Mahrez because I think he's one-on-one. He can just dribble past any players actually, and he can change the game just on his own.
Okay, but a quick mention for the Everton bench, Savannah. Are there any game changes on there for you?
I would not change anything since are going well at the moment. So I would not change anything. They're really in a good shape defensively. They try. The only problem possibly is when they get the ball back, it's very difficult for them to keep the ball, so they lose the ball quite quickly. But it seems like towards the end of the second half, things were changing, so let's wait and see.
All right, Stuart Robson, Martin Tyler, your match commentators.
Extra time available, and possible penalty shootout, of course. An extra 15 minutes each way after the 90 minutes doesn't produce a definite outcome.
Well, the two players that I expect a little bit more from for Man City is this player on the ball now, Walker, and Laporte down the left-hand side. He's the left-sided centre-back. He's got a lot of room to come out and play. And too many times he's got the ball and then gone back across. Just going to be a little bit more positive with his passing. He gets it, can he make 10 or 15 yards up before playing it into a front player?
Well, he thought about going back across, thought better of it, and then did it. Ruben Dias with the responsibility. He does play it forward to Bernardo Silva. Walker. Bernardo Silva trying to get in behind here. He's got it onto his favoured left foot. Foden. Fernandinho was hoping that might have dropped for him on the volley. He's got it now to his feet. Foden again. Now, it's a difficult one to defend, but defend it he did, and very well indeed, Yerry Mina.
He dropped right into his 6-yard box as well. He knew that it was going to be an in-swinger. Jesus was trying to find that little bit of space between him and Holgate.
And you can understand the short corner being on there. A team of greater physical stature, Everton. Lewin, the goalkeeper comes. It's not the greatest of punches, but Richarlison is there to get another telling touch, although it's collected by Walker, and Everton suddenly have to drop in again, having thought about streaming out of their own penalty area. Sterling down the outside of Andre Gomez, wants it back, but Holgate there. Gabriel Jesus for the return pass, and somewhere in there was a foul that Mike Oliver spotted.
Yeah, just there. I think he's holding on to the shirt of Sterling. Tried to play the advantage.
So Foden comes across to offer a left-footed option. Gundogan. Whips it in. And trying to get the view obscured for João Virginia. Gundogan again. Certainly reinvented himself as Jurgen Klinsmann in terms of German goal scoring. He's well out of the middle at the moment and hasn't really got into that type of position with clever little runs down the side of defenders that have brought him so many goals this season. Walker. Out by the head of Coleman. It drops for Sterling. It's not going to drop anywhere near the goal. A speculative effort. Certainly, given the difficulty of getting shots away against Everton, it'll be worth the effort.
Yeah, Zinchenko trying to run in behind Coleman with that big diagonal. Just couldn't wait for the ball to come down, could he? He knew that Alan was coming in behind him. He knew that Mina was closing him down as well. Just hit it too early.
He kicks it well. João Virginia. Here's Fernandinho. Gabriel Jesus did well under challenge from Holgate. Good advantage played by referee Oliver here, and Sterling. It's the long leg of Yerry Mina to defend for Everton.
Well, there's a moment. If Sterling was at his very best, 1v1 against Mina on the edge of the box, I think it'd have gone past him. Here's the foul. It's not a good one on Jesus, but he just gets the ball away to Sterling. He attacks the inside and then tries to go down the outside. It's a good challenge in the end from Mina. Times it well. He has to get this absolutely right. He actually treads on the ball.
Michael Oliver getting some advice, maybe about the original challenge from Holgate. Obviously the final touch of the ball was off Sterling. Mina leaving it to his young goalkeeper. No panic from Ruben Diaz. I'd expect the game to be played at a quicker tempo in the second half. Try and get maybe one goal that would just take that to turn the quarter-final into a real success and a place in the semi-final. Jesus trying to pinch it. Penalised.
Well, he's done a lot of chasing around, hasn't he, Jesus? But as those stats told us at half-time, hardly had a touch of the ball in the box. In fact, he didn't have one touch of the ball in the penalty box in that first half.
And yet, in the build-up to this game, much said of his inclusion in the team. 7 appearances, 7 goals in 7 appearances against Everton, including 3 in the 2 matches last season. Here's Richarlison. Made sure it didn't get through to Calvert-Lewin, cleared by Zinchenko. Both recovering well. More confident footwork from the young man from Portugal. Alan chasing back was Gabriel Jesus, and here goes Fernandinho driving his team forward, getting within shooting range, but in the end laying it off to Sterling. Is this the breakthrough moment for Manchester City? Nope.
Well, I wonder if Fernandinho, having driven away from Sigurdsson here, goes past Mina. A good bit of skill. Could he have got a shot away? Probably not. But the pass out to Sterling was a bit too wide for him. And then not quite sure what he was looking for at the end.
Calvert-Lewin. Richarlison. A bit like Sterling at the other end. Can take the opportunity to shoot. And there wasn't too much space available. Nicely worked by City. Bernardo Silva, goal kick. The scorer here in the 3-1 win last month. Ben Godfrey's been called up by the England under-21s for the group games of the final back to European competition, which are being played separate to the absolute knockout stage that decides the trophy, which will happen later in the year. Another compromise being made by those who structure the fixtures to get these tournaments in. The senior team, 3 games for the under-21s in rapid succession, starting in the midweek coming up. This is club-wise the last game for these 2 before this international break. Would be a good mood to have for 2 weeks if you win. Not so good if that losing feeling lingers. Here's Coleman. Good early cross. It's Fernandinho again. Jesus trying to battle like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but it's not quite got the height. Maybe he's got the strength, but no success there.
Well, that's a battle that, in the main, Mina's won, hasn't he, against Jesus? And certainly when the ball's been played into his feet.
Yeah, the South American connection there. They seem to be enjoying it. Mina with more to smile about, perhaps, so far. Going battling back to try and win it, but it breaks for Gundogan, who was further up the pitch this time. Of course comes Digne. And he found the head of the other left back, Zinchenko. Gundogan. And it was only just off. A senior player having an old-fashioned look at a younger man.
Could he have got onto this, Zinchenko?
Yeah,
I think he could have done it.
I think that was Gundogan's point of view.
Yeah, even if he has a slide at it, he might just keep it in play. He had time to have a slide and get back up and get across into the box.
But any sign of frustration from Manchester City is good news for Everton.
Well, that's where Ancelotti would be a little bit disappointed. It's a good kick from the goalkeeper. He's aiming at Calvert-Lewin, and Fernandinho beats him in the air. So that's really their game plan, to get from back to front and get it into those two front players, see if they can link up with each other.
Fernandinho puts it out. 10 minutes gone in the second half.
It's so rare you see two front players playing together. There hasn't been that understanding, that link-up play, the combination that we've seen from so many front players over the years. There's the man that's held everything together as the holding midfield player, Alan.
They play around him here. Or do they? They do. Foden had to join in to make that happen. Here's Sterling. Look at the number of blue shirts getting back. Buying Everton a bit of time. If you can't win it, delay. That's what they're doing here. Gundogan. Laporte. Here's Walker. Good challenge by Andre Gomez. He's kept an eye on that, and Walker and he had a little bit of a coming together, but nothing was said. Maybe something said here by Michael Oliver to Fernandinho, who's taken one for the team again.
And there's the challenge by Andre Gomez. Then he just stands in the way of Walker, who grabs his shirt. Charlison running away. Doesn't really need to make the challenge, does he, Fernandinho? Charlison was going nowhere.
Well, the South Americans, I don't know how much they understand about the FA Cup, but its importance, I'm sure they do. Fernandinho's been here a long time, Yerry Mina for a couple of years, of course, after starring for Colombia against England in the World Cup in 2018. Sigurdsson. Decent ball from Mina, it drops for Richarlison! He was off target.
Well, you can see what he was looking to do here. He's trying to cut across the ball and bend it in that far corner. He actually hits it too cleanly, doesn't he? Hits it with his laces rather than just the outside of his boot. He's frustrated with himself. But it's just one ball into the box, picking up the knockdowns, and they get their shot away. That's the way Everton are going to score here.
Fernandinho trying to drive forward. He's cut it back for Sterling. Oh, and it's a great save by João Virginio, who announces himself really on the FA Cup stage. Sterling thought that was in.
Well, it's a great save, isn't it? Maybe not the perfect finish from Sterling, but it was in the corner. We're just looking at the stats, and Everton have had a bit more possession in the last 10 minutes or so, and as a result they may have left themselves a little bit more open. Brilliant from Fernandinho, and there's the save. It's a nice height for him.
thing goalkeepers are always well aware. They might make a good save and then concede from the corner.
Well, here it is again. Does he make the perfect contact? Probably not. He hits it into the ground. He gets both hands to it. He just gets enough on it. He has to go from his near post. He works his feet well. And that's a good stretch.
On the subject of scoring from a corner after a great save, I go back to Yerry Mina and Jordan Pickford. He made a wonderful stop in that World Cup knockout game against Colombia, and then Mina headed in the corner. Jordan Pickford out injured. Now a teammate of Mina, of course, but this young man is showing his quality. He's still got a clean sheet going in an FA Cup quarter-final against the informed team in England. Calvert-Lewin. Alan going in. Virginia out well. Laporte. I suppose the perceived wisdom, Stuart, is that Manchester City pass and pass and pass, and they wear you out in the end.
But I'm not sure they're wearing out Everton at the moment, because the passing hasn't made Everton have to rush across the field. They haven't switched the play quite quickly enough. It wears you out when you go and close somebody down and you get popped around and it gets played in behind you, and then they get switch of play and you have to go from one side of the field to the other. I'm not sure these Everton players at the moment are going to be that tired.
And their fixture schedule adds grist to that particular mill. 10 games less than Manchester City they've played since the season restarted in September. Fernandinho. Godfrey limpet-like on Gabriel Jesus, again having to do his work outside the penalty area. Foden. Bernardo Silva getting into the penalty area and then playing it rather too deep. And again a little moral victory for Everton. What looked like a dangerous moment coming from the far side. Ends up back with Zach Steffen. Laporte. Gundogan. Fernandinho broken up by Alan. Andre Gomez. Calvert-Lewin trying to make an angle. Was never in a position really where Andre Gomez could find him, but the experienced Portuguese midfield player has kept the ball. Here's Calvert-Lewin, stopped by Ruben Diaz, another Portuguese involvement, but we're going to have an Algerian artist coming on now, Riyad Mahrez.
Oh, here it's for Bernardo Silva, so he'll probably go and play out wide, I'd imagine, and Foden will come infield, unless Guardiola's got something else up his sleeve here.
Back from Mina. Andre Gomez. Now Digne. Richarlison clearing Laporte out of the way. No need for Michael Oliver to stop it, but I think he would have done. And it led to the ball ending up in the Manchester City net. Walker. Mahrez still waiting.
But the players I identified as being the players that would have the problem, Andre Gomez and Sigurdsson, have actually started to play really well in this second half.
But here's Foden, again grasping the nettle, really taking the responsibility of driving at Everton.
What a tackle it was from Godfrey, real pace to get there, and then the sliding tackle, strong as well.
names, Riyad Mahrez, the team that won the FA Cup in 2019, replacing another of those who have winners' medals in this competition, Bernardo Silva. Message to Foden. Received.
As I thought, Mahrez is going to go and play as wide as he possibly can on that right-hand side. Foden will come infield.
He's really blossomed in his late 20s. He's 30 now, Riyad Mahrez. Obviously helped Leicester win that fairy tale league title. This is 5 years ago now.
So that's where Jesus should do better. It's a lovely little ball played by Mahrez round the corner, and he should be letting the ball come to him and backing into the defender. Instead he takes his touch towards the sideline and ends up giving Everton an easy throw.
Here's a question: what Manchester City are going to do about their front players? Gabriel Jesus doesn't play in all the major games. He's not regarded as an automatic choice, and you could argue maybe not. There aren't that many automatic choices. He's got so much talent at his disposal, Pep Guardiola. But Sergio Aguero is being used very sparingly, even though he's fit again. And he's 32 now.
That surely has to be the area that Pep Guardiola is looking at during the summer, where they might be able to reinforce.
Well, they have, of course, won plenty of games and scored plenty of goals without what you would regard as an out-and-out striker. They're not short of goal getters. They've had 19 different goal scorers this season already. Laporte. Here's Walker. He's giving that width that you spotted. Gabriel Jesus. Walker back to Mahrez. Full man waiting in the box. Here's Foden. It's a good hit, but not good enough to break open this FA Cup quarter-final.
Well, that was all a bit quicker. Walker breaking past a couple of challenges. Jesus playing a little 1-2. Mahrez coming infield. It just opens up for Foden. His first touch is excellent. It just opens up his body. Goes for power rather than trying to bend it, and it just goes away at the last minute. Just comes off the outside of his foot and bends away from that far post.
In the league win here last month, they scored 2 goals very similar from that position, one from Mahrez and one from Bernardo Silva. To ensure the 3 points. It's good work again by Godfrey. Sigurdsson. Alan recognising the out ball was Luca Dini. It wasn't the easiest one for the left back to do too much with, but he's steaming forward here.
Yeah, he was steaming forward, but Walker was steaming back. And he's still got great pace, hasn't he, Walker? Was played around by Digne, still got back to make the challenge.
But he's conceded a corner, and with Gylfi Sigurdsson, the delivery to the likes of Mina and Godfrey, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, represents a real threat to Manchester City. 3/4 of the way through the 90 minutes. Everton looking for the breakthrough here. Taken by Sigurdsson. Comes out to Andre Gomez. Kept on rising.
Well, there are a couple of Everton players that were fairly close to it. Whether they were offside or not, we'll never know. He was close, wasn't he, Mina?
He certainly was, and he's roared back to his defensive station as Manchester City, not exactly roaring forward, but also with their usual perception. And call them the past masters. They're certainly doing the passing in this game, but that's a normal stat for a Manchester City game.
Certainly is, but of those 474 passes, how many of them have been into really penetrative positions? That's been their problem today. Everton, of course, defended really well. They've set themselves up to be hard to play through.
And they defended really deep as well, so there was a lack of touches in the Everton penalty area for City players. Not really explained by that. And they've got to find a way. And then Sterling rolls away from Holgate. And whacks it against Raheem Sterling, who happily has picked himself up. He didn't know where the ball had gone. Calvert-Lewin took that down away from Fernandinho, and here's Richarlison, the front two combining for Everton. Andre Gomes has made his way in as well. It might just come for him, but deflection took it away from the midfield man, and there is that extra bit of space with numbers forward that Manchester City might be able to exploit here. And one way to stop that being exploited is to halt the play.
And Alan has got to be fairly careful here. Here's the ball played forward and hits Diaz on his elbow, I would say, but certainly no penalty there. Just going back to Alan, he has to be careful. He got an early booking, didn't he? And there he just brought down Riyad Mahrez. I don't think there was any attempt to play the ball.
Well, the combined brains of Gundogan and Mahrez have done a fair bit in their careers between them, trying to come up with the right outcome from this wide free kick, knowing, I would have thought, that this, don't put it straight into the box. Zinchenko, it was Calvert-Lewin, I think, got in the way of it. They looked up over the ball and saw those tall Everton players lined up to deal with anything a bit more orthodox. The alternative didn't come off. Ruben Diaz, 20 minutes of the 90 left, extra time getting it ever closer, but one goal, one moment of inspiration, maybe one mistake can turn parity into victory. Laporte, now Sterling. And they're sticking to it. There's no way to get away for Raheem Sterling. He knows a lot about this city, having had that spell with Liverpool, which really put him on the football map. Fernandinho cleared uncompromisingly by Mina. Alan. Walker sees it out.
At the moment, you can't see where a Man City goal is going to come from. Had that one half chance for Foden, which he just bent away from the far post. But apart from that, in this second half, they haven't looked that threatening.
No, that is absolutely true, and it's a rare thing to say about Manchester City. Of course, when they were beaten by Manchester United, didn't score. They've won the 3 games they've played since then, setting off on another run, they hope, will continue here. Has he had an easier ride than perhaps he might have expected? Maybe with the likes of De Bruyne and Aguero limbering up.
I'm sure he'll have to come on fairly soon.
On target to deal with. Comfortable save, and a difficult one, more difficult one, both from Raheem Sterling.
And that's been the big chance in the second half for Man City. Sterling.
Gundogan. Making sure Sigurdsson didn't put his imprint in the game with a clever piece of play out on this near touchline. For Laporte, a clever angle on the pass. Andre Gomes has left a calling card on Foden. Michael Oliver letting the game go on, whether he'll revisit that. There's Mahrez. Zinchenko, but he's got to come back and retrieve it, and a bit of the impetus is gone. And Ruben Diaz. Walker. Fernandinho. To Gabriel Jesus, got involved in the penalty area then. Gundogan, no way through despite the prospect of it. Then here comes Calvert-Lewin, and that's a real test for Ruben Diaz, and Andre Gomez does get the yellow card for the earlier challenge. Good refereeing by Michael Oliver, let the play go until it was a natural stoppage.
Just for a moment there, it looked as though he was going to get away from Diaz, Calvert-Lewin. Certainly quicker than the Portuguese centre-half. He's actually had a very good game, hasn't he, Andre Gomez?
Yes, and I was here the day he had that terrible fracture against Tottenham, from which he made a remarkable recovery. No sign of any lasting damage. Oh, it's over. Mina, he misjudged that. Cleared by Mahrez. Still chasing, still chivying away Gabriel Jesus, and chivying away at him. It's Ben Godfrey.
Well, their scouts certainly did their homework, didn't they, with Godfrey? Because I went to see him 2 or 3 times for Norwich last season. I certainly wouldn't have come away and said he's a player for the future. But he's played really well today. He settled in very well at Everton.
With the great respect to Daniel Farke at Norwich, I think he's playing now for a coach who understands the defensive side of football. Really understands it, I'm sure. At Norwich, they had their own plans, but it was a leaky season for Godfrey and his teammates.
And at times they tried to play out from the back when it wasn't really on. So there's a lot of mistakes made.
A mistake there by Coleman. Calvert-Lewin. Cut out by Walker. Just occasionally can be sucked into a more central position defensively. We know he does that as an attacking right back. He can get caught out by a player coming from behind, but he wasn't then. Here's Laporte. Walker. Now Laporte. Fernandinho squeezing it away from Richarlison. Walker. Touch aim for Foden. That's great tracking by Alan. Good distance to the clearance as well. He's giving Calvert-Lewin another chance to run at Ruben Diaz, which I'm sure the striker would relish.
He read the situation far quicker than Foden, didn't he, on that occasion? Because I thought the touch round the corner from Jesus wasn't a bad one.
Well, it may be that Raheem Sterling's coming off, and not too much has gone right for him. He's developed so much as a Manchester City player that the highest of standards really expected, and it's always easy in an attacking sense to deliver. He's had a little bit of a lean spell, which culminated in being left out of the starting 11 for the last 3 games, and it may well be he doesn't go the full distance here. Zinchenko doing the retrieving. I was going to say the old days, but not that long ago, Manchester City would be happy probably to get a goalless draw and have the replay, although their fixture schedule would be hard to squeeze it in, but replays are at the moment a thing of the past, certainly at this advanced stage of the competition. Foden. Here he is again. Laporte. To Ruben Diaz. No great change in the methodology of Manchester City. The change of personnel with Mahrez coming on. And now Kevin De Bruyne. Came on in the final in that 6-0 demolition of Watford and scored and helped City run riot. And it is Raheem Sterling who goes off. He scored himself a couple of times in that final. De Bruyne, fresh from an outstanding goal in Hungary in the Ferenc Puskás Stadium that Ferenc Puskás himself would have been proud of. A left foot drive into the roof of the net. Set up a pretty comfortable Tuesday evening in the Champions League for Manchester City. I did play once with Ferenc Puskás, Stuart, but that's a story for another day.
You can tell me as soon as this game is finished.
Here's Zinchenko. Foden. Cleared away by Godfrey, but not very far. João Virgínia started to come, headed out by Mina. De Bruyne. Can he make the difference? And again, a little nibble at Mahrez that time. Again, Michael Oliver senses that Manchester City have the ball and could use it to purpose rather than stop it for a free kick. And he was right, because there's no damage done to Mahrez, who's trying to do some damage to Everton here. Ruben Diaz. Here's Laporte trying to make the difference from the back. A lot further than perhaps Everton would have wanted. Cover is supplied for the defender by De Bruyne and Fernandinho.
But that's what I believe he should have been doing much earlier in the game. He's had so much of the ball, not made much use of it.
Here's Gundogan. Andre Gomez didn't quite play it where he wanted, but it still reached Coleman. Fernandinho's got to be careful. He has chalked up a number of red cards, or 2 yellows equaling a red. His long and mostly distinguished career with Manchester City. Walker has to go back. The backward pass is a minor triumph for Everton. They might just find themselves under increasing pressure here as Manchester City look for more progress in yet another competition. But it's by no means a formality, and hasn't been for over 80 minutes. Fernandinho. Recovers quicker than Gabriel Jesus, and Godfrey puts his left foot through it to get it out of at least immediate danger. Here's De Bruyne. Now Foden. And that's another piece of work for João Virgínia. That was hit with a fair amount of Christmas. The goalkeeper dealt with it very competently indeed.
Certainly does. It's a good strike as well. Gets down early. Doesn't let it get away from him. It's a comfortable save. And a good one from the goalkeeper. He's looked very composed, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had an interesting background. He was with the Arsenal youth set up for a while. Had a loan spell with Reading. A few first team appearances there. This is a real step up for him, and so far he certainly doesn't want to hex the young man. He's very much looked the part, to his credit, and the credit of his coaches along the way. Digne. It just takes a fraction of a second though, and that could apply to Everton, not just to Manchester City. And here goes Laporte again. De Bruyne. Laporte turned onto the bar, but the follow-up is in from İlkay Gündoğan. They've had to wait a long time, Manchester City, but will this be enough?
Well, we've been talking about it, haven't we? Laporte has been the spare player on numerous occasions and hasn't made the most of it. And suddenly in the last 5 minutes or so, he started to come out with the ball. Look at all the space he's got to run into. He plays a nice little ball into De Bruyne, who goes past his man. And it was a good strike. I think the keeper gets a touch on it, but Gündoğan once again in the right place at the right time. He's the one that anticipates, he's the one that reacts, and it's a good finish as well. But it was all started by Laporte coming out with the ball. There's the save, just a slight hand on it. And all Gündoğan has to do is get over it, get it into the back of the net, which he does.
Well, it's been tough going for Manchester City, despite all their possession. But as has been the case so often this season, the goalkeeper played his part, really, to get the touch to stop the original Laporte shot going in. But İlkay Gündoğan has been a reinvented player. It's very much in keeping with his contribution. Around December he started to get amongst the goals, and they keep on being rolled out here for Manchester City. And Carlo Ancelotti's team now have only got a few moments. They had some daunting moments in the game against Tottenham and found a way to make a victory out of well, it was an absolutely different game to this one. Getting Alex Iwobi ready. Gabriel Jesus. Oh, you were talking about lack of touches in the penalty area. There were a few that time, and Everton have to come from behind in these closing minutes.
Also give a bit of credit to De Bruyne, who looked as though he was going to shoot with his right foot, took it past Mina, and then Laporte got the shot away.
I'm going to give the credit to you, because you've been saying all through the game that Laporte should step forward like that. Finally the message has been received.
You always look about who's the spare player on the field, who's the one that's going to have lots of time on the ball. Obviously Everton have got an extra centre-back, so there's always going to be a Man City player that's going to be spare, and it was Laporte, and he didn't make the most of it for so much of the game.
Well, they haven't got an extra centre-back now, because Holgate's gone off, and Iwobi, wide player, central midfield. He actually prefers, I think, but he's usually used out wide. The signing from Arsenal, second season here, and they've got a free kick here, and they've got Gylfi Sigurdsson, the main man, over it. They've got Yerry Mina trying to get free to a deep ball, and in the end Calvert-Lewin still looking for that one goal to take him to 20 for the season, which is always a great target for strikers when they set out on a campaign. Here is Laporte. He might not be so adventurous now. Zinchenko. De Bruyne. And Sigurdsson did well. Andre Gomez has done well too. And here is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Deflected, not towards Iwobi, because Zinchenko was back. It's a great touch by Mahrez, and now by Gabriel Jesus. And here comes the conductor of the orchestra in this particular attack, De Bruyne and Foden. Challenged by Mina. Cleared by Godfrey. Andre Gomez. Fernandinho gets a foot in. Iwobi. Giving it away, and Fernandinho, he's given it away to Luca Digne. Now judged by Laporte. And there's Gundogan coming back to having beaten one goalkeeper, goes back to the one guarding his own net. 2 minutes plus added time. Slid forward by Godfrey. It's one of his better balls.
When Iwobi's playing on the right-hand side, you said that he likes to play wide. That's where he's playing at the moment. Rodri's going to come on as the holding midfield player.
Gundogan, having worked his magic again. Ilkay Klinsmann Gundogan. And Rodri had a bit more steel in front of the back line alongside Fernandinho. There they are. It's been the odd occasion when Pep Guardiola has seen fit to start with both of them. Mahrez. And here goes Kevin De Bruyne to wrap it all up, and does in the blink of an eye. But there certainly was a case for a foul in the build-up that Everton are complaining about, whether VAR will chalk this one off. Michael Oliver has seemingly given the goal.
It was a high boot they're complaining about. Mahrez was just about to, but I think he pulled his boot away at the last minute, and the header went back down into midfield from Mina. Just here, this is the moment. He actually pulls his foot away. He doesn't go into the face of Mina. And then the ball's played in behind by Rodri. I think Mahrez may have been offside when the ball was played, but he left it for the forward run of Kevin De Bruyne.
The goal has been given. Beautifully timed run from De Bruyne. As you say, Mahrez got out of the way, and De Bruyne, with the left foot that did so well in Hungary on Tuesday, finishes off Everton here.
But it's that touch there that just takes him away from Godfrey. Godfrey can't get the challenge in, and what a good finish it is. Yeah, Everton will complain. They thought it was a foul, but the check has been made. It's over. De Bruyne has just settled this tie.
Well, the man who came on in the final 2 years ago in a romp then against Watford, but it's not been a romp here for Manchester City, but they have got the job done by playing their way patiently, progressively. And Carlo Ancelotti, who set a plan, and it worked for a long period. The goals have come late. Played by Godfrey. It's going to be 25 wins out of 26.
Well, there's certainly a candidate for man of the match. Fernandinho did a lot of good work on the ball. He's defended his own penalty box well on occasions when crosses have come into the box from set plays.
Here's Foden. Well, it's not City's way to sit back nor to take the ball into the corner, although it nearly ended up there. Laporte, with Diaz, Zinchenko, De Bruyne. Catch us if you can. Here's Zinchenko, De Bruyne, and Foden. Virginia did well to make the save. He certainly can't be faulted.
And once the space opens up, once Everton start chasing the game, you just see what a great team Manchester City can be. Balls round the corner, great forward runs, playing around pressure.
Mina with the most abrupt challenge, but the ball's been given away. Mahrez for Fernandinho. The challenge as he shot. Well, Manchester City are about to reach the FA Cup final for a third consecutive season, and the last time they did that was back in the 1930s, which included winning the cup by beating, getting to the final and being beaten by Everton, and then winning the club the next year in 1934. Well, they've won it in 2019 for Pep Guardiola. They're on the verge of celebrating definitely a hard-fought win as Calvert-Lewin flicks on.
Although he says the quadruple isn't really possible, it's still on at the moment.
Well, already through Southampton, who City beat pretty comprehensively at the Etihad Stadium just a couple of weeks ago. And of course, Manchester United is still in there as well. They play Leicester tomorrow. Chelsea are still in it. Carlo Ancelotti's old club, but his present club have been knocked out by Pep Guardiola. Great respect between the two sets of coaches, and they found a way to win again. Everton blocked them off, kept them at arm's length for much of this early evening game. But Kevin De Bruyne arrived to settle it, but Ilkay Gundogan got the goal that really defined the fixture. The Charleston company huffed and puffed, and João Virginia certainly didn't look out of place in this company, Everton's third choice goalkeeper, and getting some congratulations, which might not mean much at the moment, but may, when he has the time to look back at the game, which I'm sure he will do. So City march on. They're into the last four again. Everton 0, Manchester City 2.
Many thanks there to Martin Tyler and Stuart Robson at Goodison Park. Man City emerged triumphant in their first FA Cup encounter against Everton in 40 years, securing a spot in the semi-finals. Joining South.